This is how it happened in my head. I'm walking down an empty hallway, quietly singing something. Then, suddenly, out of nowhere, my friends appear, surprised to hear my singing voice for the first time, and attack me with demands to hear it louder. After a game of, "Oh no, what? I can't," I give in to their pleas. And to keep it short, the day ends with them showering me with compliments. To the dismay of my timid younger self, this day never actually happened, because I figured singing in public was claiming that you were talented enough to do it, and that was too risky, because how narcissistic would it seem if after claiming I was good, I was actually really bad? Fast forward to 2016, where at the Society for Personality and Social Psychology, it was announced that after surveying over 700 adults, that millennials are seen as incredibly self-centered by all generations, including themselves. And I understand why. I mean, we have social media, likes as a rating system, and the Snapchat dog filter. Yet, history is constantly laying down a field of innovation, from the invention of the handheld mirror to the invention of the smartphone, that fuel narcissism. Joel Stein, a writer for Times Magazine, states that he doesn't disagree with the narcissistic label, but argues that a millennial's egotism is a byproduct, an adaptation through an ever-changing technological age, and I agree. Yes, maybe we are the most narcissistic generation right now, but in another 20 years, maybe my children will be. So why not use it as a tool? I'm not saying it's a tool. Let's say, Janita, younger Janita, I know you have this big fear of being called arrogant, but there's a difference between dreaming and doing. And if you dream of changing the world, to bridge that gap, you may need narcissism. And look, I can see it in all of your faces too. I can hear my younger self reply, older me, are you okay? Narcissism is bad. You're talking about self-confidence. Okay, well, yes and no. Let's say there's a spectrum of all the kinds of people who like themselves in this world, with one side being the Oxford Dictionary definition of self-confidence, trusting in one's abilities, qualities, and judgments, and the other being that of narcissistic, having excessive interest or admiration of oneself. Just for perspective, I'll put Kanye West and Lady Gaga on the scale too. The intensity of what I'm referring to is narcissism without the envy or ego or lack of empathy, one that's built upon self-confidence. What I'm talking about is right about here. I'm not saying to become a narcissist. I'm saying use narcissism as a toolbox, because it offers an array of elements that allows you to do things that you'll never think possible otherwise. I'll explain. It starts with a little something called human potential. Nothing as fancy as the name, just the ability for people to do things, sometimes big things. For years, businesses have been discussing the question, how can we reach our maximum human potential? But my personal answer to that is that you'll never reach the maximum. There's no inherent invisible roof limiting how high you can jump, because in life, we make decisions. And sometimes those decisions lead to opportunity, and then more decisions, and the next thing you know, that roof is moving up. There's no shame in inflating your potential to more than what others may think your maximum is, because then a maximum won't exist. Take Kiara Negrin, one of Times Magazine's 30 most influential teens. At the age of 16, she used fruit peels to create a super absorbent polymer that keeps crops alive during drought. We see these people and we think, oh my God, I've done nothing with my life. But what it comes down to is that at some point, she noticed a drought. And then maybe she Googled a couple of things, I'm guessing. And then finally, she decided to experiment. Among other things, that last step is what really puts us apart. Because to do that, you can't just think that your potential is like every other 16-year-old. It's got to be a little more heightened than that. Okay, older me, but narcissism is still really conceited. Well, I'm not saying go blind with ego, but sometimes you need to convince other people to care about what you do. On December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers were the first to conquer human flight in the first airplane model, and absolutely nobody noticed. According to the author, Frederick Lewis Allen, the Wright brothers' creation of human flight wasn't fully grasped until nearly 4.5 years later, and there was no recognition in newspapers for days, weeks, even months after many successful flights. And this isn't an uncommon story. The same thing has happened to Alexander Graham Bell on the phone, Henry Ford in the car. It's happening right now with the 3D printer, which, by the way, was invented in 1989. Imagine if these revolutionaries abandoned their projects after years of no recognition, because after all the silence, they couldn't see how transformative they were. I'm not saying to ignore constructive criticism or abandon empathy, but stay true to believing that you've done something worth sharing, even if others don't agree. It's just as important to believe in your own ability as it is to believe that that ability can do something. I'm not saying that you have to do something big. Small or medium or nothing at all, if it suits you, is perfectly fine as well. But usually it's the size of an event that stops us from pursuing it, whether it seems impossible because it's too big, like learning to fly, or it seems like it's not going to make an impact because it's too small, like throwing a plastic bottle in the recycling bin. If you consciously use a quiet narcissism as a tool to believe in your fullest potential and its ability to make good change, then those things won't stop you anymore. We're in a world where the front lines of social and political problems are often hidden from international eye, a world where the most pressing issues are invisible until it's too late. We believe that a certain type of person is a game changer. A certain type of person experiments, a certain type of person invents, a certain type of person learns to fly, a certain type of person can sing. We can't depend on that belief anymore. Having been gifted with the burden of all of humanity's problems, the world cannot afford for you to believe that your talent and your ability and your ideas are just good. Instead, believe that your ideas are worth other people's time, and that whenever you speak, speak as if somebody is always listening, and somebody is learning, and somebody is doing something because you are right. Everyone has a story that is worth sharing, even if you share it as badly as I did in the beginning. And yes, that's really narcissistic. But that's how you're going to get things done. Thank you.